Hey everybody, this is Chris. I'm out here back at our beautiful depot again to get a proper tour video so we can actually, so everyone who is unable to actually come up here and see this beautiful thing in their, with their own peepers, is able to at least get an idea of what we got going on here. And then Miss Becky, our chairwoman's over there cleaning up. My wife's hanging out in my mean green machine. And Becky's favorite pupper dog is hanging out with us too. So let's learn a little history. So, to start, we kind of got to get to where the depot began. So, the railroad that runs through here now was formerly the Detroit Mackinac. But there was something before the Detroit Mackinac, which was the Detroit, Bay City, and Alpena Railroad. They were the original railroad company that had a main connection running from Bay City up to Alpena, of which then in Alpena it was a big old hub of activity. There was 3-foot narrow gauge running around, which is little trains. Because for those who don't know, we have standard gauge running through here, which is 4 foot 8.5. Anything less than 4 foot 8.5 is considered little trains or narrow gauge, and that comes in a variety of gauges. There's 42 inch. There's 3 foot, 2 foot. It can go down as small as 1 foot gauge, but most of that's like amusement park stuff. And I'm rambling. So, the Detroit Bay City and Alpena, the Detroit Bay City and Alpena in 1895, during one of the big stock market scares, amongst two other companies, they decided to merge together because one big company had a better chance of survival than, one, and thus the Detroit Mackinac was formed. Well, the main line originally ran, what differs on the main line today to back then was the main line originally ran from Oscoda up to Mankato, from Mankato to Lincoln, and then from Lincoln up past Lost Lake Woods, rejoining with Black River, and then carrying on up to Osneek and Alpena and Sheboygan and whatnot from there. Well, once the Detroit Mackinac was formed in 1895, a few years later, they decided they wanted to service the communities that were closer to the lakeshore, of which there's Lake Huron. So that way then they could tap into a lot more of the trade, and that was going on, since Harrisville at the time had a port, which a lot of people didn't know we had a port. It was a big old dock that was right on the end of Main Street. It shot right off like a big jetty, and we had ships that came in. There was fur trade, there was lumber, all sorts. Well, I think there was fur trade. To my knowledge there was, but at least back then there would have still been. Anywho, I'm rambling. Oh man. Apologies, my allergies are making me sniffly. Now, when they decided to do that, they basically bypassed the trackage that currently went to Lincoln, of which then the trackage was extended to run from Oscoda up to Greenbush, of which at the time, Greenbush didn't really have anything either. From Greenbush to here in Harrisville, and then up to Black River from here. And then around 1900 or so, the Detroit Mackinac said, hey, we're just about done with this. If you guys want a depot so we can service you, you're going to have to provide one. So the village of Harrisville then went and spent the time, their own money and resources. Sorry, I'm filming with my phone and I lost grip. So the village of Harrisville, with their own time and money, went and locally sourced. I'm assuming the stone came from Alpena or Rogers City, since they had quite the large limestone mines. They locally sourced some limestone, and bing bang boom, you had a depot. So yes, my apologies for my little previous clips. The depot is indeed made of limestone. And there's a few other things I'll correct myself on, because again, I'm learning, we're all learning, I'm human, mistakes happen. So, it's not going to, now, fair warning, when we do get inside, it's not going to be as bright as it was in the clips, because we don't have a bunch of people running around with flashlights, and the front door sadly is gone, and it's been boarded up. That's for the depot's own protection. It's not that we don't care. Give it time. We will get there. She will be pretty one day, folks. But in due time, all we can do is help her along. So, the depot was built in 1901. At least that's when it was officially opened and completed. And back then, there was a lot more here. Well, there was a little less. All of these trees were just non-existent. This was, to my knowledge, pretty wide open. That water tank came later, as the original water tank was located over around here somewhere. I did find earlier today a spot in the end of the platform where it looks like there would have been a concrete, like a slab cap. You can see there's little chamfers in the concrete, and I would think that's most likely where the main water shutoff was for the water tower. Because a lot of people don't know, these railway water towers were kind of like the toilet bowl at your at home, where there was a float with a valve, and when the water level came up to where it needed to be, it would shut off the valve, and when the water level dropped, because they were filling up a locomotive's tender, or tank, or whatever that thing had, it would then refill. But again, we're all learning. But going by some photos, roughly around in this area. Alright, good. Alright, not screwing around. So, roughly around in this area is where the original tank was, and we believe that it burned. It's hard to find info when, you know, a lot of stuff wasn't documented over the years, but who knows? I might be able to dig through some old news clippings and find something. I'm pretty sure a water tower ablaze would have been big news. Now, something else, just around over there, where the siding, the current maintenance away siding that the Lake State Railway uses, curves off, there was a freight house there at one point. Kind of neat. So, let's have more of a look-see. She's in amazing shape for what it is. John's Home Maintenance, I believe back in the earlier 2000s, redid the roof, and that was his volunteer project. Still holding up pretty well. Some of you may notice the discoloration in the stone. Pretty sure this just means that there was a repair done. Now, there's some photos that show from back in 2002 of when, well, it's a plain wall now, but on the north face of the depot, we'll get over there, there were originally 3 windows, just like this guy here. And there's also discolored limestone. So they patched this one up. And on the inside, you'll see more of the repair and how that turned out, which will make it pretty eventually. We also once used to have a flagpole that was inside for everyone's own safety sakes, and kids can't be trusted with nothing. So there was also a memorial here for the World War veterans that we'll have to rebuild for obvious reasons. Do ignore the graffiti, as kids will be kids, I'm afraid. This is one of the freight doors. Freight would have came in and out and whatnot. Now, around here, in this kind of area, there would have been a telegraph pole. Telegraph wire would have came in through around there or so to the station master's office, because this little nudge that sticks out was the office at one point. And we'll get to the inside as well. And man, that chimney's pretty. The whole thing is just pretty. Back in the day, there was also siding that ran around here that originally serviced the water tower so engines could pull off, get water. There was also a water column around here somewhere, which was basically a big water spout for filling the tenders on locomotives and whatnot. She's got a lot to work. Kids over the years busted out all the nice pretty windows, and as you'll see inside, there were stained glass windows in these upper levels, and these upper panels that I'm pointing at were station, I'm going to try to not look at that because no one wants to see that graffiti because it's so poorly drawn. But there were amber stained glass up here at one point, which is quite nice. It's real pretty. But she does have a little work that's needed. Considering how old this concrete has to be, this platform is in pretty good shape. I know it's not perfect, but it's not bad. And this is what's left of the second water tower, the D&M put up, because apparently the original burnt down, or at least that's what we're thinking at one point in time. So what you're looking at here, if you've ever seen a photo of a traditional water tower, this may look a little weird. The reason why is because this is the center support for the water tower. This also would have acted as the well house, you could say. Now, I'm not quite sure if Harrisville had city water at the time, but I know some water towers were set up that way. But most had their own standard wells, and so on. And there was indeed a window right there. And there's a door hidden behind some shrubbery. A shrubbery! Up around in here somewhere. That you can go inside, and it's also, sadly, just as graffitied as our poor depot is. And if you look down, you'll actually see a well pit. Now, from what I remember as a kid, sneaking in there and being a little deviant, I could see a pipe coming from this direction inwards to the tower. So my best guess is that was probably the pipe that fed the water column, which would have sat between the main line here and the siding, which ran right around over here. And the idea is that was a passing track. If a passenger train was here, passenger train would have pulled up and stopped, allowed people on and off. If there was, say that was a southbound passenger run, if there was a northbound freight, they could throw the switch over yonder, run right around, stop, get water, whatever they needed. That's just how they did it. The railroad was innovative that way. So that little crook in the siding right around here, right in that area, is where the little freight depot was at one point in time. There was also a signal mounted up on the roof that came off, and so it had a ladder, and that would have been the signal to tell people, hey, we're going to stop here, or the train's just going to go through. There was also, if you look at some old photos, there was indeed 3 windows right here. And as you can see, it's been walled off and repaired. If anything, I'll include in the post some photos here and there showing that, hey, there was windows here at one point. But it doesn't look too bad. And I do apologize for the graffiti. Some people just do not have good writing language. So, but I'm afraid this is something we're going to have to fix, is this end sill she's pretty toasty. Not gonna lie. Now, something that Miss Becky pointed out to me that I personally didn't know growing up. These little brackets. You see them kind of scattered around. We believe these were the original rain gutter brackets I would have had for the downspout. Which is nifty as all heck. And then you have the big pretty celestial windows. At one point, too, on all 4 corners of the depot, there would have been a nice sign. You can kind of see where it was. That said Harrisville, and then the towns on either end and how far away they were. Alright, let's quit wasting time and get to the good stuff and get inside. Because I know that's what anybody and everybody wants to see. But not everyone gets a chance to see the outside of the depot. So it's nice to show it off. And for anyone who didn't notice, there's one of the rain gutters brackets. At least that's what we're going with. Another rain gutter bracket. And I shall prep both my headlight and my flashlight on my phone. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Is that on? Yep, I blinded myself, so we're good. And throw on my phone flashlight. And we dive into the belly of the beast. This would have been one of the original door handles, and sadly, she's all busted right up. We're trying to preserve as much as possible to keep it our depot. Now, this would have been the station master's office, more or less. He would have been here making sure people were getting their tickets, because this was the ticket booth. You can see all the beautiful wiring. Adjust my headlight. You can just see all this old wiring in here, and it's amazing how long this has lasted, but eventually, who knows? We might leave it. We may replace it. I would think we'd probably end up replacing it, but for historical sake, we'll probably keep it. I'm not sure. I'm just the guy making a nice tour video. And here you can see the beautiful stained glass amber windows that were put up and around. And from what we can tell, all of these upper little windows had stained glass. I'm guessing a bird made that. So do ignore this. This is put in. This is like the most newest piece of electrical in here. It was put in, I'm assuming, probably in the earlier, like maybe 10 or so years ago, when people were trying to do stuff back here and whatnot. And some people might not recognize and wonder, why is there a big painted dragon in the depot? Well, this is Pickles. This is Pickles the Dragon. Back when I was a kid, around 2005 or 6 or so, date, don't quote me, my memory's not that great, but We used to have an event called the Dragon Days, and a lovely lady here in town wrote a book about a dragon that got stuck in the depot and then decided to live here in the depot because he liked the depot. And his name was Pickles, and I believe the story was that he liked pickles really badly, and so they named him Pickles. It's adorable. It was to try to raise funds to help restore the depot, but sadly that didn't pan out as well, and honestly, I can't find copies of the book. I would love to find copies of the book. But I'm rambling. I do apologize. But anyways, this would have been the station master's office, and it's kind of neat to think of what kind of would have happened in here. This was like the hub of activity for the railroad. Telegraph wire would have came in through up here somewhere. Telegraph pole out there. So if something happened, they would have telegraphed ahead saying, hey, hold the train, blah, blah, blah. Station master would have came out, threw a lever or something for the signal that was mounted up and around on the outside over here, or so on the outside, to tell the train, hey, you need to stop, something happened. Looks like some of these pretty little, I want to say mantles. That's the best thing I call them. Sadly, it looks like we're missing one. We'll have to get someone who knows woodworking to fix it. But generally, the station master's desk would have been right around here. Now, the main reason for that is you had this little window here, and you got this little window here. The idea was this was the perfect vantage point for him to be able to sit here, fill out his paperwork, and if he heard a lonesome whistle in the distance, he could look either north or south and say, oh, one of the freights are running through, or oh, the Huron Flyer's running through. And yes, the Detroit Mackinac did have named passenger trains, and I believe the Huron Flyer was one of them. I looked it up at one point. I'll have to refresh my memory. I apologize. But it's amazing how great a shape a lot of this varnish is, because I guarantee a lot of this is probably either as old as the depot, or maybe it was redone at one point. It's hard to say. This guy here, we're pretty sure is one of the original toilet tanks, going by how it's a copper tank and surrounded by wood and by the shape of it. And you'll probably figure out where it went eventually. Alright. Sadly, the wood floor back here is pretty buckled up. We think some water damage got in here, because to my knowledge, wood floor generally tends to shrink over time with age. This is... It's pretty heavily... It's pretty heavily peaked up in spots. But sadly, we can't do much about that. Alright. And just think, how many years did that poor man's coat hang up here? How many, it's the kind of little bits here and there of history that really grab my attention. What's left. Alright. And then here's some more windows. Again, another one of our beautiful stained glass windows left. I'm going to have to keep an eye out and see if I can find anything. Now, I do apologize about... Oh. Camera, you could behave. The LED light on my headlight is causing some flickering weirdness, and I'm trying to help it be not blurry, but I think we're kind of stuck with it, I'm afraid. So right around here is where the original coal stove would have been. Now, I'm not quite sure how this was laid out, but that for sure would have been the hatch for cleaning out the chimney. And for the heck of it, you can just see up in there. She's not in the best of shape, but I see a light. Isn't that crazy? That guy up there, although I believe it's... Oh, come on, phone. Let me cover up my headlight. Maybe it'll come in a little better. I do apologize. I don't have all the best light at the moment, but that little round cover up there would have been where another stovepipe came in. So that was probably where the original stovepipe for this stove would have been. We're thinking that there would have been a door here, because we highly doubt they would have just let passengers come freely into the freight area, considering there would have been some quite high dollar things in here. So this is one of the repairs I was talking about. Back in 2002, a gentleman, I don't know who, he came in here and he did the repair. It looks pretty good. I'm hoping that, I personally hope that we're able to try to gussy this up, make it a little prettier. Maybe get some limestone slabs, some stone slab that we can put on there to try to blend it in, make it look a little nicer. Or maybe we'll figure something out, all in due time. Yeah, that sticks out like a sore thumb. But necessities, because we need power. Here's one of the freight doors. So it's kind of neat to think of what kind of stuff came in and out of this little, it feels like a 10, 15 by 20-ish room. My dimensions aren't great, but man, the ceilings are high. Up there's the attic. We do have a ladder, but it was removed, so A, vandals, and B, so that way then we don't have to worry about anyone hurting themselves or it getting stolen. But we still got to venture up in there and see what's all up there. But just yesterday, we had a big community clean out, and we cleaned up the whole thing. We got all the trash out of here. We got a lot of 90% of the glass off the floor. It's great. But it's amazing this thing just, ooh, that's about a foot drop in a step. And now we're up into the main depot. It's crazy to think just, echo. Sorry, I can't help myself. It's amazing to think just who or what has passed through these walls over the years. We're also kind of thinking of, so there's this little mantle shelf that just runs all the way around the inside. We're thinking it'd be kind of neat to put a little train set up there to run around. That, or we put picture frames up there and make it look pretty, but I think the little train would be fun. So right there is another part where some stovepipe would have came in. This is what's left of the heating for the passengers, because no one wants to freeze in Michigan winters, knowing how our winters are. Ignore the mess. We're doing our best we can to clean her up. So it looks like some people have left their marks over the years. This would have been one of the bathrooms. Not sure if this was the gentleman or the ladies' bathroom, but one of the bathrooms. And we're thinking right here. Now, if you notice the little notch brackets on that tank, we believe this is right here was one of the tanks for the commode. And the hole in the floor where years of political promises have gone through, I guess. Apologies, I couldn't help myself. It was there. And this most likely is where the flush pull lever was, or the pull rope for the flush. I got a little rot here, sad. It's not a badly sized bathroom though. I'm not gonna lie. I have been in smaller bathrooms, so this isn't too bad. I don't know about this window though. I don't know how much privacy that would have given anybody, but it would have let some light in. And then, here's our original front door. She's not in horrible shape, but it's rough. Someone apparently someone made some bad decisions in their life and thought that this was a good idea. And to my knowledge, the flagpole, this is our flagpole, was used to assist in that. I know it was used to bust up. There's a little vent access panel window up top for the attic. We know the pole went through the attic, sadly. After looking around, we think this might have been a water fountain. Would have made sense, because you got a water feed here, you got the main line in, and it just seems like it would seem about right. Anything in there? Anything of interest? Peekaboo. No? Okay. I do apologize as this is a long video. I want to be as thorough as possible. That might have been for a lantern or some sort of light. I wouldn't doubt that they had kerosene lights or something at one point in time. There's another hook. If my camera, there it is, another hanging hook. And then just think how many people over the years came up to this window to go on a day trip to Bay City or a day trip to Alpena to do shopping. It's crazy, isn't it? And then this here would have been the door to the platform where everyone would have went in and out, and these would have been stained glass as well. That one's busted, but this stained glass is still intact, or at least from what I can tell. Sadly, we got a couple holes in the roof. Either water damage or something. You can see where the roof has been repaired over the years. It was redone. It's in good shape. Oh, how could I forget? This is the Station Master swivel chair. This is original to the depot, actually, which is kind of cool. And she still rolls around pretty good. She's got a little swivel in her, but she's a little stiff. It's crazy to think that this chair has survived all these years, you know. What's this here? Looks like, I wonder what this is. Old signage? Could have been like ticket prices? Who knows? I'll have to look at it a little closer, but now's not the time. I'm making poor Becky wait, and I'm sure she's getting irritated with my young antics. And it looks like this is gonna have to be fixed too. But this here, there's something else we can try to gussy up and make pretty again. So there was originally 3 windows here, and going by the photo I had seen during the repair process, it was pretty rough. So this was the best that they could do. But hey, it works. That repair was done in 2002. That was 20 years ago, and this sucker is still holding up dang good. So, good job. Another more of the mantle. This would have been the vestibule. This would have been a really pretty waiting area, like a sun porch kind of deal. It is quite pretty. And if you look here, you can see some rubbing where there most likely were like maybe a curved bench or something here. It looks a little bare in the middle, so maybe that was like a split bench. But there was also, there's your stained glass. All 3 of those panels survived, which that's a miracle. And we got this pretty chandelier. It may look a little chintzy and cheap. Don't get me wrong, I thought that too. But then I saw the fitting up there that it's hanging from, and I'm like, wow, I guarantee this has got some age to it. We'll have to see. Pull her down, clean it up, make it look pretty again, make it work. This probably was either the gentleman's or, again, ladies' bathroom. I don't know why you'd have either. There could have been another panel here, like here, but I don't think you'd. I'm pretty sure that would have been a fully enclosed door. I don't think anyone would want a window to their business. That there is either probably the drain or just the other pipe that would have been fitting the water fountain. There's the water inlet for that. Another hole in the floor for waste. Again, this is also not a badly sized bathroom. And this is something I noticed. Hagenbeck Wallace Circus. Wonder how long that's been there. 40s maybe? Looks like one of the hinges is coming up, but that's not too bad. Old hinges aren't hard to deal with. They're easy to fix. This is stone, original stone here, but it looks like we've had a bunch of water damage up in here that we'll have to address. It looks like someone cut it out, and it looks like this video is going to be a 2-parter. I apologize. I'm taking too long. But it's really pretty, and it's amazing that this beautiful structure has lasted as long as it has. And I think we're all hoping that we can get her as pretty, if not prettier than the day she was built. And maybe one day who knows? This could be a museum. This could be a community center. Heck, who knows? Maybe in the pipe dreams this could be a functioning depot again, but I don't think we'll ever be that lucky to have a passenger service up here again. But hey, you never know. With all the times and all the craziness going on in this world, who knows what'll happen. But we're hoping we can get this poor thing prettied up, and we can get her looking like new again and restore it. Because that's the goal, is conservation, restoration, preservation. Well, let me go step back outside, because I'd hate to make poor Becky wait any longer. I'm more amazed that this thing is still around, because you can see the discoloration. That's a copper tank. It's not thick by any means. So if I give it a light tap here, that's sheet copper. So the fact that it's still here is amazing. But all right. Yeah. One day she'll be pretty, but till then, we'll just enjoy her as how she is, I guess. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Hope you guys like to look around, and maybe we'll give you updates as stuff gets worked on and prettied up. And we'll keep you in the know. So bye, Becky. Bye.